Hey everybody, and hey Monty, it's so nice to see you in 2023.
Woo woo.
I know, and
There you go.
creating the second part of manifesting as if by magic. I'm very excited for this because this is where we go into the conditions of manifesting. So tell me, how are you? How was the new year? How are you feeling about this new year?
I'm doing really well. What's really cool is I took 4 days off from Sunday to Wednesday where I didn't, I used my computer for like being on YouTube and things like that, but no emails, no phone calls, no WhatsApp, no Facebook, nothing. So it was just glorious and spectacular. And I've started a new, like I'm doing like a Qigong, like, I don't know. It's a mixture. This guy from the Shaolin Temple in Europe,
Oh,
he's
amazing.
yeah, and and taking his class and like bringing like the energy stuff because I've got a 6 month healing journey, and
Yeah.
I've shifted my food and yeah, I just read books and reading some stoicism. And what's really cool is that my friend that's an astrologer told me that this is the chariot year. It's a seven.
Yeah.
Um, and it's all about exactly what I'm doing. It's all about discipline, perseverance, like organization. And that's, like I'm not being like, I don't want to be like, I'm never going to be like, like super analytical or one of those people. But like the last couple of years, it's been a little bit loosey goosey. And I want to just tighten up the ship a little bit, like in a way that feels good to me. So it was really cool to find that out and research that a little bit.
Yeah, and bring in some, it's like boundaries so that you can fly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And boundaries within myself because I was kind of like, you know, I'm a kid. I don't want anything to hold me in, and now I want a little bit more guidance, create a little guidance. So
Yeah.
how are
Well,
you doing?
how am I doing? I'm feeling very positive about 2023, feeling great about this masterclass. I've been really given some examples in my life of how things have shifted through this kind of level and technique of manifesting and looking at the conditions, which we're going to go into today. I know there are some people coming, and some have already contacted me and said they can't come, they want to see the recording. So who knows? It might just be me and you, or somebody pops in, it doesn't matter. But we can use you as an example, which is great.
Fabulous.
Um, and why don't we just take a breath? Let's just, everybody who, even if you're on the replay, just take a moment to take a breath. And we call this like locating where you are, and breathe out any resistance or doubt or disappointment like black smoke. And take another deep breath in and exhale, letting everything go. And one more of those, deep breath in, really dropping into where you are. And with your eyes shut, I'll just tell you a little bit about where we are. So, this is the first full moon of the year. It happens to be in Cancer. First full moon of the year is very auspicious. You're giggling. Why are you
My moon
giggling?
is in Cancer.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
Then here you are. And it's very auspicious to take, quite often what happens when you have a new year is it lines up with the new moon first, and the full moon comes later. I can see Carrie's just arriving. Um, so you can open your eyes, and I'll just talk us through this. Hey, Carrie, lovely to see you. Just talking about this auspiciousness of the first full moon of the year, and in many cases, the first important moon of a year will be the new moon. It's just how it lines up that there'll be a new moon, and then it leads to a full moon. But in this case, we're starting on a full moon and very near to the start of the year, like 6th of January is actually the ancient calendar. It's called Twelfth Night, and it's got a very significant ancient. This would be Old Christmas. This would be before we did the Gregorian calendar, which is aligned everything into the days of the week rather than the lunar cycles, this would have been the sacred day of the year. And what we've got is we've got a full moon in Cancer on it. So it's like, if you want the symbol, it's like you're arriving into the beginning of a new year, the way that you want to set your sights on the whole year, and you're arriving at a peak. So it's peak energy right now. And often the case is there's this build, you grow into a new year, and then 2 weeks after the new moon, you'll get the full moon. But in this case, the last new moon was at the end of last year. And in fact, when we had winter solstice, we're doing it on dark of the moon, which is just before the new moon. So the cycles are interesting because if you were really working by lunar, aspect cycles, which is what I do everything in business with and my life, then we're arriving on a peak. And actually the time during Christmas holidays this year has been a time not to necessarily rest. It's been a time to build your vision. And I've noticed that there have been key things I've had to do through this Christmas holiday season, which has been very much part of building the vision of this year. And I am hitting the ground running. I've had to do a ton of writing. I don't know if anybody else feels like you've been in process. It has not been, let's go. Yes, let's go off physically because you do have the days off, but not mentally, emotionally. It's been like quite an awareness period, actually. So when we're looking at it from this perspective, this is a peak, and you're going to have at least 12 more peaks. I don't know if this year is a year of 13 moons. I don't think it is. So we're going from peak to peak to peak to peak to peak. And each one of those gives us symbols to look at and to understand, what are we dealing with right now that is leading us into this year. Moon in Cancer is very much a beautiful moon of family, home, super emotional. The Cancerians get shy if something is too aggressive, too in their face. They get shy of it, and the crab retreats and moves sideways, right? That's their modus operandi. They're doing this little dance all the time. So you've got to get them right here, right now, embrace them, get them to feel comfortable. And that is the symbol of how we start with our business this year. And this is a lot to do with the manifesting that we're doing right now. We're on the second stage of manifesting as if by magic. So I'm going to really get you to locate yourself, because this is all about the conditions of manifesting. The last session, I asked you, what do you want? What do you want to manifest? And then I told you by the end of it that the thing that you want to manifest is not the thing that you want, right? And there's this disconnect in it. People who were really turned on by The Secret, which was an amazing, insightful book and film, think that there's just one piece to it, which is, if you journal all year, if you focus and you keep saying, I intend it, I intend it, I intend it, it's on the fridge, what you want. And let's use an example of something that I actually feel I genuinely want to manifest. And I'll use my example of a villa, because for me, I'm at a place where I've thought about moving to Bali and didn't. The conditions were not right for my Bali trip. It was full of scooter noise and all of that. It wasn't peaceful. Conditions for me, speaking as my ideal fertile planting, is silence, quiet. So when I'm thinking about that villa, I'm not thinking hectic, busy, where is it? And definitely villas aren't an English thing. So I already know I'm looking at somewhere else. That's part of it, even though I don't know where. Oh, this is the cat. Can you hear Phoenix coming in? He's, come here, baby. It's okay. And so what you get is you start to think, what I want is a villa. Actually, what I want is, I want a level of luxury and spaciousness and I want tranquility is the thing that's the key thing. And how we looked at that is I asked you to think, let's say you've got the thing, you've got the villa, I got the villa. I got the villa. Let's get into it a bit more. Ooh, I'm feeling that villa. And imagine that you've got what you wanted, but it's 3 days later. So I got the villa, and this is manifesting the way The Secret would do it. It's like, imagine the thing happening. But the piece that I want to add to it is, imagine how you feel after you got the thing. And what that will show you is what you're really going for is it's not the villa, it's this, what would I feel like? I would feel like I'm stretched out on a couch in that villa, listening to the bird song, feeling there's this immense spaciousness around me. And I would feel a combination of proud that I actually achieved the thing. Some people talk about relief, when they've got finally to the thing, it's like a relief, there's a relief, but that's not the manifesting frequency, like, oh, phew, thank God, I got that. It's like a little bit basic, but beyond the relief, beyond the, oh my God, I actually achieved the thing I said I would, there will be something else. And for me, it's this, in this vision that I'm talking about, it would be this spacious luxury, luxuriating on a couch or around a pool. And if I had to give it one word, it would be luxuriating. There are other ingredients sprinkled in there. Proud of self, that I was able to achieve that thing. Proud of the marker that it gives me in life to talk about my luxurious appetite, if you like. My desires are luxurious, right? So I would have ticked that off. But when you start to get into it, the feelings associated with getting to a place in your life that you want, it's not the thing that you want, it's the feeling that you want after the thing. And when we start looking at that, it's a bit complicated. And this is where we ended on the last bit of the last masterclass, because what you're doing is you're saying, I want that. That's just the secret. Just there. That's the piece. Keep visualizing, keep it in. It doesn't go far enough, the secret. Sorry, everybody who's in the secret. And from this point, then you go, well, what is the real thing that I want to achieve? And often we can't even describe what that is. I'm attempting at this point to describe the luxury, the proud of self in a package, there's an achievement piece, there's pure indulgence and luxuriating in my villa. Hey, Laura, lovely to see you, darling. And that's the first piece that you want to be picking up. What's the essence after you've achieved the thing, which is where the secret took you to? What is the thing after the thing that you're really looking at? Which will be a feely, composite, complex, not just one thing. So for me, it involves the feeling of luxury in a villa, the feeling of proud that I accomplished this thing, the feeling of, woo, I'm good at this stuff. There's a bit of that as well. The feeling of elegance. And you've got to be aware of what is the package that you're actually really manifesting. And you can start writing down these qualities, because that has to be an emotional hit. And where we're looking from is old operating system. So my old operating system has not got a villa. And then I'm looking to this future place saying, but that's what I want. I want this villa. It proves something about what I can do with my tools of manifestation. But even that isn't it. Then I have to come to terms with, well, what are these pieces afterwards, which are all in the emotional landscape, which I've described a few of. Proud of self, relaxed. There's a relaxed luxury to it. I would be a very different operating system if I had got the villa right now, and I could just go next door and walk into it and feel the feels. Instead, I'm me, old operating system, living in London, nowhere near a villa, um, trying to extend forward as we do. We try and project our visions forward. And actually, when I'm talking to you about the emotional response to it, it's as if you're there past the thing that you got, feeling the feels, and looking back, going, oh, I got the villa. So there's a complex um, linear timeline there. We're here now, old operating system, not looking at what the thing is that we get, but after the thing that we got, different language, we've already got it, feeling the feels of what it's like when we already have it, looking back at the thing that we already got. So the perspective that you're looking at is ahead in time, further ahead in time than the thing that you want. Do you follow this? Just the timeline of that? Yeah, yeah. So now, when I compare the conditions of where I'm at now, not the living conditions, but the emotional conditions of what it is about where I live now. And we could also gather up some old seeds of evidence of the conditions that I bring into play. I come from a family who don't own villas, who probably never want to live in another hot country, right? They're all quite happy in England. They actually don't believe in rich people, they don't like them. They're all academics. So their currency is academia. If you can show your brains, that's when you get rewards. You don't get rewarded for money in my family. So I'm talking about the conditions that I'm bringing into the space of all my ancestral background. They're from the north, not the south. They don't like the south because the south is easy peasy people who are just soft, whereas the north are the real true grit, all of that. There's all that north south rubbish with England. There is everywhere you go, actually. You find it like there's this division. So my conditions that I'm bringing into play will have a sprinkling of ancestral stuff. They'll have a sprinkling of class. They might even have race. They might even have like finance, because it's not in my family at all. And then here I am who teaches finance. So when I'm having those conversations in my family, I don't get credit for that. I don't get awarded, acknowledged, or anything for that. In fact, how it's related to is Inarra, the creative black sheep of the family, weird one, happens to be teaching finance. And isn't that a weird thing that she does? Because it's not academic. And oh, great that she's happy in that thing. But we never talk about it, right? In my family, we don't talk about what I do really, because it's already marginalized. It's got a bit of the ickiness because I deal with wealth. And that's like a dirty subject in my family. And these are some of the conditions, like my soil planting, that's already there. When I'm speaking villa, and then I'm speaking a certain level of elegance. In fact, it's interesting, just over Christmas, I asked my parents for what I wanted. I don't do that. It was an experiment. And Andre, who's staying with me, so I'm zooming around behind, he came in the room when I was having this moment because they were asking me, well, what do you want? Normally my response that, well, oh, a plant or whatever, there's no big deal, it doesn't matter, da 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 da, is what I say. But this time I said, I've seen this Italian fantastic coat. It's not for winter, it's not practical, it's all about elegance, it's really stylish. Da, 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 da. And there's just this like stunned look as they're on Zoom. And then they agreed to pay kind of a third of it. So they don't give me what I want, right? I don't get what I want. Bless them. That's not really what it's about, but I'm just saying I don't get what I want in that circumstance. For me to ask like truly what I wanted was excruciatingly difficult. And I had to even have a friend of mine who was standing in the kitchen who couldn't see them, they couldn't see him, writing down notes to me to say, stick to what you want. You're wavering, you're going into some other apology or whatever I do. Now, you guys will all have conditions like that. You'll all be dealing with your conditions of, and think of it, before you plant the thing, which is the seed of your intention, nobody looks at the conditions. And this is the biggest piece, actually, of how you are going to get into manifestation state, is to align the conditions now, which are the most fertile conditions for you to produce a result, with the thing after the thing right now, the thing after the thing right now. And that will be very complicated timelines, because we're going ahead to what we want, but that's not what we want. We're going beyond that to what we really want emotionally. We're looking back at the thing we want as if we've already got it, to feel that emotion. But actually where we are is old operating system right now, not having the thing and not having the feelings either. The first phase of starting to work with the conditions are to be able to really examine what it is on an emotional landscape that you're seeking after you get the thing that you say you want. And once you've done that, and I'd like to use some examples with you, because then you can really get into what I'm talking about. For me to be luxury, well, so my father then said to me, we think you're really extravagant. You know, my Italian coat, which is actually, you should see it, it's so on some level hippie, but it's also designer hippie, like ceremonial, whatever. And, you know, to be told that I'm extravagant for what I want in life, that you can see how the family operates. Those are the conditions. And I had to breathe into that and not react. And then I thought, actually, it's a really great word. I'm extravagant. Then I'm taking on, woo, I'm extravagant as part of my conditions. Like, this is the piece that I'm actually, for me to get the villa, for me to get the coat, for me to step into that emotional state, they've named it for me. I'm extravagant. And from their perspective, that's a put down. Like, can you imagine, like, that's, you ask your daughter what they want, and I'm not trying to make my parents bad. I'm wrong. But you ask me what I want. Your expectation is that I say not what I want to fulfill on the family drama or whatever the hell it is, right? And you will all have this. When I actually ask for what I want, they agree to pay a certain portion of it. So they don't get me what I want. That's a fact. So this has been my life of not getting what I want. And then instead, what I do with it, they give me a little put down, which is the extravagant bit. But what I would normally do is, I have lived with this all my life. So I've gone, I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to handle me. Now, within that, there is a drive, and there's been something that's made me very active in getting what I want. But there is another piece, which is I'm not able to just say what I want and to get what I want. Comfortable luxury, like I'm looking at in that space of an emotional place, is that I really get what I want, and that people really respond to me, like, not even on the coat level, but they want to, I've got to be in a space to handle that rebut from my family so that they still want to give to me, and that you guys even could understand this, like in your own family dramas or whatever it is, that the little containers, the little put down, the little oop, don't go that far, oop, no, we'll do that, but it's all conditional. Well, all of that is old operating system, and we've all got it. We've all got a ton of the old operating system. For us to shift into manifestation, part of me has been taking on extravagant, like it's a great thing, like it's, well, yeah, I'm extravagant, and not fighting it, and not having to like speak back and respond and justify it. Yeah, I'm extravagant. Now, the minute that I shift to that level, woo, there's something else that starts to happen, because I'm redefining my new operating system, which is that I am proudly extravagant, proudly extravagant, like, and all that thing. I'm proud of myself for being extravagant and able to say that I want these things that I want, which are fundamentally stylish, right? It's all about style in that particular case. So I want to just break this moment and have some conversations with you, because the next piece is this is the soil that we're starting to plant into with manifesting. So I just want to get where you guys are with the conversation, because it can sound very academic and very zen in the way of looking at it, but I want you to just really get, most of the time we don't get what we want. And for us to get to this other side, new operating system, we're bringing in a level of, we get to get what we want. And we're redefining ourselves by that. And there will be words and conditions that don't feel like we've got there yet. So over to somebody. Would you like to give your example?
I will go.
Yeah, go for it.
Are we looking at I would feel and then the conditions, or
Well, let's do the whole thing. So
um,
what
so
would
what I
you,
want?
yeah, what do you
What
want?
I want is my business to be in a free flowing place where it's like consistent and I'm clear what it is and people are clear and all the things, right? Because it's been like jerky. And what I really want, like the physical manifestation, is to be able to travel whenever I want without real concerns or like just saying, well, can I afford that? Will I make enough money? And it's like, no. And, 3 months, I want to go here. And then I want to go here. And it's like, okay, no, I actually don't like it here. I want to go here. And so what that feeling is to me is like, I like most of the words that you use are kind of your villa feeling. It's like, being at a cafe and then being like, I really don't like this town that much. It's nice, but I'm leaving. I want to go somewhere else. Like book a car, get a new place. It's luxurious. Like it's like diamonds running through the blood. It's spacious. It's affluent. It's freedom. Found the secret, a feeling of elegance and relaxed luxury. Yeah, it's really, I like the word affluence. That really kind of lands for me. Um, and so the conditions, because I kind of separated it out, like the conditions that would come from my family are like, because my dad was a drug dealer and crazy and just, insanity. And my mother is completely like tight and has her shit together and, she'll never be on the street. Wild spending, hiding money, hiding secrets, because a lot of our money came from, places that we didn't report taxes. Then there was failure, a lot of failure. There was like highs and lows. So it's like building and losing. And then there was this one time, like when you were mentioning about the coat, that I remember after my parents divorced, and I was like 12 or 13. I was a little bitch. I wanted everything. I've always been like, I deserve everything. And I remember that my mom, my grandma, and my aunt chipped in to get me a television for Christmas. And I just thought, it's like once a year you have to chip in for this. Like for me, it was, even at that age, I had that mentality. And so extravagant, stood out for me. And so I'm looking at the works, the conditions that I think work, from what you said: extravagant, expectant, luxurious. I like to relax a lot. I feel I deserve a lot, and I get what I want. because and what I realized is there was a time like when I was younger, I would get what I want no matter what it took. If I had to work my mom against my dad, if I had to, flirt with somebody, if I had to, whatever I had to do, I got, if I had to charge credit cards, I got what I wanted. And then I got in a lot of trouble for all of that. And so I had a rebellion towards it because I wasn't very responsible or loving all the time or really concerned about other people. And so what I see is I get to recultivate just that part of it, that I deserve these things, that I shall have these things, and do it from a more responsible place.
So if you imagine the emotion around deserving, which is because deserving is not an emotion,
Mm.
what is the feeling like 3 days after you got to be in this affluent position, you got to travel wherever you want, you're at a bar, you're calling the luxury taxi company or limousine to take you because you're on a whim, feel you want to go somewhere else. What is that right there?
The word, the word that comes to mind that is affluence.
Affluence. So you're feeling affluent
Yeah, like I feel affluent.
because affluence isn't a feeling.
So
So you
I'm
got to get to the feeling of it. So you're feeling affluent. Then break that down. What is that? What is feeling affluent?
there's the words that come to mind initially are like freedom and flow. Like freedom, but it doesn't affluent really like luxurious. It really it's affluent is the word that makes that really resonates like a feel. I can't think of a feeling. I'm open to suggestion of like something that hits because it's like it's a richness. It's like I'm good. Like it's
Well, I'm delicious is even more of a
delicious. Yeah.
sort of getting into deliciousness because it's an over, you've got to be um over the top in some way about the feeling like why is this so amazing? So it is luxuriating.
Mm-hmm.
That's an action, but there's a feeling of luxuriating which is timeless. Like I've got all the time in the world and I can just phone this and I expect it will show up. So,
I just want to share something really quick. I think
yeah.
because remember I told like well some of you weren't here, but I took 4 days off where I turned off everything and I just did whatever the heck I wanted to do. And I caught myself like sometimes sitting watching movies and starting to feel a little bit of guilt and having to pause the movie and remind myself, no, I have 4 days to do whatever I want and take myself into a place of like I can't waste time. I deserve this. I was creating that experience.
So
So
the key, yeah, deservability is we who do not feel we deserve, which is so many people on the planet, have to work in increments to get our sensate system to understand that. Because we are operating on the old system, which is we don't deserve, right? I am not worthy, which is instilled and imbued in every cell in your body. If you have a deservability or a lack of self-worth, it will be dripping through you, right? And you won't be aware of it until you come up against a moment, which will be whatever the moment is, right? It could be like a public speaking gig and it's like, oh, nobody wants to hear what I have to say or something, right? It'll be like something like that. Catches you off guard will be, and the body responds by sending you stress messages with it. So the stress of unworthiness might usually cause you to shrink. You don't move into it, you shrink back from it. So that's the emotional way that we deal with these things. And what you are looking at is to get as close as you can to defining it. And still, it's an intellectual thing, right? It's still all an intellectual game at this point. Even defining what is relaxation, what is that feeling that I was talking about with the villa. But deservability, when you've got that emotionally, because that's not an emotion,
Mm.
there would be an emotion of, like, that's that thing about think rich, or I've forgotten the book, but the guy who think rich,
Think and
think
Grow
like,
Rich.
yeah, that's it.
Mm.
Rich
Think and Grow Rich.
dad, poor dad.
Oh, that one too. Yeah.
So, so that, he points out in that book that rich people don't even, like, they don't have to even think about some of these things. They wouldn't behave in a way of scarcity
Hmm.
because there is no scarcity.
Yeah.
It's like there's a very different operating system in the way that they would behave around anything. And so you gather up as best you can a definition of what are the things that you would feel and the languaging of it, and some of it won't even be the feelings of it. And then the key piece is to locate it now. Like, what is that experience that I could have, which is, for instance, Laura asked me about, did I get the coat? No, I didn't get the coat. Didn't get the coat. It was like part of that story was, well, if they're not paying for it, then I'm not getting what I want, right? And I buy myself all sorts of things, like, all the time. I'm very good at that. But that's not the piece that is going to alter that story by me just going and get the coat like I always do. I always go get the thing because that's how I operate, right? That's been my conditioned response to a family that is measured and, not into affluence or whatever. I go do it. Now, even that is not going to get you what you want. It will get me another coat. It will get me another something or other. But in that moment of the whole of my life of building up the things without asking for help is still the old operating system of working with a family that doesn't give me what I want. This is not a whiny moment. I'm just trying to explain that how I've responded to all of that conditioning is I've gone, won't ask for help. That's what I don't do. Don't ask for help. So now that's my condition. The conditions in my environment of my soil garden are that Inarra doesn't ask for help, right? Other things that I do is that I go buy the damn thing myself. Now that's old operating system, all of it, the whole package. Buying the coat wouldn't solve the me stepping into this new phase at all, my new operating system. So what the task is to do with this conditions, this is the second of three parts. What we're looking at now is conditions. We're not looking at the manifestation. We're looking at what is this thing having to manifest into. So my villa and the feelings that I get from this luxuriating in the villa are all about getting some level of what I want, right? At a very, very deep emotional level. If I went and bought the coat, I still wouldn't be getting what I want. So, how can I go to this place that's in the future and hasn't occurred yet and hit the emotions of it to feel what it's like to get what I want, which isn't what the thing of my life is right now. So I start to look at the moments that I can emotionally connect in with really truly getting what I want. And some of it is being heard. Like with very good friends like Alora, for instance, we speak overseas for years and I am heard. I get what I want. Then there's things like steeping in a hot bath, which is the emotional state of, oh my God, I've got all the time in the world and I can do it right now. And when I'm in that space of being in the bathtub with all my potions and all the great things that I put in and the salts and that, would that be any different than when I'm absolutely loaded lounging in a villa, having another bath. Well, actually, no, there's something very congruent there. So I'm on the right track there, right? That's something that I can locate, that even after the explosion of wealth that it requires for me to get a villa and to get what I want, I'd still be getting the same pleasure emotionally from the bath that I have in the villa and the bath that I can have right now, which is a tiny bath in my flat. It's a small one, but it doesn't matter. When I get in and I put all the potions in, I am emotionally linking to this other space. And this is really the conditions that we want to go to now. We want to find the things that are aligning yourself after the thing that you get. What do you feel? And how can you feel it now? How can you get a big list of those things together, of the things that you want right now? And so I want to do a little explore. I can speak to a couple of you afterwards. I think, Alora, do you have to leave during this?
I'm gonna have to leave in about 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, great. Then you'll be here. So let's do this, and then we can talk again, just so that you're really clear. The reason that it's going to be so good on this moon is because Cancer is all about the feelings. Full moon in Cancer is all about the feelings. So let's take you on a little ride of this experience, so that we get out of our heads and we get straight into our bodies, of the kind of experiences that you want to start attracting now, which are coming from the place after you get what you want. Does that make sense? Yeah. So shut your eyes and sit back. Let's see if you can hear this. Can you hear this? Yeah. And take a deep breath in and exhale. And uncross your legs and your hands. And another deep breath in and exhale. And one more of those. Deep breath in and exhale. And allow yourself to imagine that you are breathing through every pore in your body. Every experience is breathing in now through every pore in your body. You're breathing in, and you're breathing in the full moon in Cancer. This beautiful energy, first moon of the year. It's emotional. It's soft, feminine energy. And it's all about receiving. It's this spacious moon, which, if the conditions are right, then you are able to experience being loved as if you are loved by a beautiful family. Loved at home, comfortable, not having to present yourself with a mask on. You are perfect just the way you are. And Cancer is very much that kind of feeling where we are just accepted at the depths of who we are. So allow yourself to experience that deeply, what it's like to be breathing in this energy of pure acceptance, love. You're in a safe place with the right family. And as you breathe in through every cell in your body, and you exhale any resistance, and the resistance will be there from the old operating system. Because right now, you don't get what you want. And if you feel that as a statement, not as a challenge, so that you have to go, oh, but I get this and that and this and that. Don't go there. Just go, oh, I don't get what I want. And you can imagine this frequency of not getting, not receiving, almost like a child when the mother doesn't give you the sweets that you wanted. There's a slight tantrum energy that comes up. And as you are able to locate this, feeling yourself deep within your body, that you don't get what you want. And what that feels like, the density of it, the energy of blockage, of no flow, the frustration that's involved in it. And as we are able to breathe into every cell of our body, imagine that it's occupying a little piece of every cell in your body. There's a network of this, like a web. In every cell of your body, there's a little piece that doesn't get what they want. And some of this old energy form may well hang out in certain areas more than others. It will be in every cell of your body, like a dense web. But you may also experience it quite strongly in a certain area. So ask your body to show you, where do you experience I don't get what I want? As you're breathing in through every cell in your body, feeling the cells receiving this full moon energy, this beautiful, you are home, you are with family, you can be yourself. Notice if there's any density anywhere, and how you might feel a wave of frustration, even with the words, you don't get what you want. And you never have. And allow your body to show you where that hangs out. So whatever part of the body that is, now start to breathe even more into that part of the body. So for me, it's located really quite strongly in the solar plexus. I can feel it quite low near my belly button. As I'm saying this and doing it with you, I can feel there's a pressure or a containment or a contraction. Allow yourself to just acknowledge, where is that in you? And now I'm moving to expand that area, so I'm breathing deeply into it. And again, as I breathe out like black smoke. I want to feel all of it, more of it. I want it to be present. I want it to allow myself to experience more of it. And just allow yourself to experience this deep level of constriction in the body where you don't get what you want. Allowing yourself to observe and feel it. It's a little bit, in my case, I can feel it's like got a boundary to it. It's got a density to it. And just saying to everybody else, somebody has joined us, so I just want to welcome Jackie and say we're in the middle of locating where it is in your body that you don't get what you want. And so you can shut your eyes and breathe with us. We've not started very long ago. But as you breathe in this full moon energy, this beautiful, soft, feminine, receptive energy which is flowing in, I want you to hear and feel what it's like when I say you don't get to get what you want. And we're asking our bodies to show us where that reaction, that frustration, that old way of being is located, because it will come from a very long time ago when you were a child, when you didn't get what you want. And as we breathe into that area of not getting what you want, we want to locate what the energy is like. So in your own mind, you might say it's dense, it's heavy, it's, in my case, it's got very sort of square-like edges to it. Then ask yourself, does it have a color? Does it have a symbol? It could even show up like it's an animal or a mythical creature or a symbol of something. It might flash in your mind when you're observing this. Those who aren't getting symbols, you might get a fuzzy patch of dark energy. So allow yourself to just observe this energy and breathe even more into it. Breathe into the frustration of not getting what I want. And as you breathe out like black smoke. So you're imagining yourself breathing out like a resting dragon. You're not breathing fire, you're breathing black smoke. And then we want to invite that energy through the whole body, not just keeping its border of where it's been controlling you. Instead, we want to invite it to actually move through the whole of the body. This energy of, I don't get what I want. So we invite it to expand and just keep breathing into it, feeling its density. And then we thank your body for allowing this energy to show up. And we ask it now to relocate. So if you imagine that there is a ball of light that you are holding between your hands, a ball of bright, bright golden light. You can even feel it when you bring your hands slightly together. You can feel that ball of energy. We're going to invite all the energy of I don't get what I want to pour itself out of your cells, out of your body, into the ball of light that you're holding between your hands. So you just breathe and you encourage it to its new location. We invite it, I don't get what I want, to move all the way into the ball of light that you're holding between your hands. And as it starts to move into this, it fuels the light, and you can feel the ball of light becoming stronger. Imagine all these little parts of every cell of your body, which is holding a blob of I don't get what I want, like a network throughout the whole of your body. We're now inviting it to move into a ball of light, relocating itself. And we're reassigning it and asking it to go to the place where it can be most useful to you right now. And so it's joining a ball of light. And the more of I don't get what I want that pours into the ball of light gets brighter and brighter and brighter. It's fuel for it. Imagine it, it's like the wood that stokes the fire. So the more of I don't get what I want that pours into this ball of light, the brighter and brighter and brighter this ball of light gets, this energy ball. And even if you're not visual, and even if you don't fully see what this is or feel the movement of the energy, I want you to just now focus on the ball of light. Imagine the ball of light between your hands. Sometimes when you bring your hands almost to touch, you can feel the fizz, the buzz, the energy of energy itself. And now that we have moved all the energy of I don't get what I want to be the fuel of this ball of light, what is left is a ball of light, a bright ball of light, full of energy. So if you now remember where was the place that perhaps was most active when we asked, where is located what I don't get what I want? I want you to put the ball of light in there. So imagine, for me it was solar plexus. I'm just imagining myself moving my hand, literally, towards my solar plexus, and I'm placing a ball of light in there. And I'm visualizing it being very bright, radiating out energy. And this is the energy of, I get what I want. I get what I want. I get to have what I want. So as I get to have what I want starts to move into the area of spaciousness that used to be constricted. I want you to just imagine that sentence like you were a child going, I get to have what I want. I get to have what I want. Jumping up and down. That level of energy, of excitement, I get to have what I want. You could imagine it in a scene where I get to have what I want for my birthday. I get to have what I want. And you're telling a friend, oh my God, I get to have what I want. I get to experience what I want. And as you feel that ball of energy growing, I get to have what I want. I want you to imagine the feelings pouring through you from this ball of light when you have what you want. So you can visualize things or say them to yourself, all the things that you want. Monty was talking about he wanted to get clients flowing through his business effortlessly. And so he would imagine at this point, I get to have clients flowing through my business effortlessly. I get to have consistency of payment. I get to have, and you can add to all of the things that you want in your business, in your life. I will be saying, I get to have a partnership with a ceremonial man. I get to have that. And just feeling this increase of light as you go through the things, saying, I get to have what I want. I get to have these things. I get to have these experiences. And feeling the sheer joy of what it's like, a child getting exactly what they wanted on Christmas. A child who wanted a particular toy or train set. The joy, the shrieking joy that happens with children exploding with joy about they got what they want. And there's nothing they hold back. There's this playful, fun energy. So if we take this and we expand this, I want you to feel I get what I want. pouring through the body, and notice what it feels like when you're encountering the energy, the energetic of, I get what I want. I get what I want. I want you to imagine now that you're doing something that is really pleasurable. And imagine it that you've had a day of getting everything that you want from dusk till dawn. If you wanted a pedicure, you went and got a fantastic pedicure. If you wanted a massage, you went and got a massage. You wanted a fantastic lunch. Where would you go if you could go anywhere because you get to have what you want? Where would you go? Who would you go with? And then imagine what kind of home would you want to live in if you get what you want? Even if it's just a little flash of an idea of there could be multiple homes. You could have multiple homes around the world. But just feeling that feeling of what is it that you actually are going for? What is this level that you're seeking? And then if you were to imagine your business 5 years from now, and you got what you wanted, imagine where you would be 5 years from now. How many days would you work? How many people would be in your team? How would you feel when you meet up with your team who are all super excited and love your ideas, and you all work so well together, and you're having a meeting and they're all so appreciative of you being the creator and visionary at the head of the company? They've all got their roles, they're all very happy in them. Scan and imagine that level of interaction, that level of fun with a team that's like family, that you just love them all. You love meeting up with them. And imagine the creative ideas that you've got flowing as you're all talking about what you're launching, what's coming up in the year, what do you want to create? And then if you were to add in money, and you were to imagine how much is flowing in per month 5 years from now because you got what you wanted. And imagine what it's like. What kind of holidays would you have when you get what you want? How long would they be? Would your family join you? Would your children join you? Would your partner join you? Would you have holidays on your own? Would you have holidays with friends and go exploring on an adventure? And if you're able to imagine all of that, and what about first class travel? Not even business class, first class. Experiencing that level of luxury, because I get what I want. And imagine dropping into that first class cabin, the delight, the sheer joy you would have as a stewardess shows you to your cabin, and you see all those little treats that they lay out for first class passengers, and you know that wherever you're going, wherever the destination is, you are experiencing being treated like you are first class, being looked after. That people who really care about giving you what you want, the experience of it, is part of that feeling as you step into the cabin. It's not just a physical thing. They are there to make every part of your journey gorgeous. And as you fly off in that first class cabin on a plane that's taking you to the destination of wherever you want to go, feel the feeling as you're there experiencing this pure luxury, everything flowing in your world, experiencing life like comfort, timelessness. And if you were to come up with one feeling, just one, because there's so many in that delicious brew, feel the feeling that is the most present to you, pull it in. Pure feeling of comfortable, like the feeling of being comfortable, or the feeling of being timeless. Whichever one it is, choose one of those feelings and focus on it. Feel what it's like when your body is flooded with that feeling of pure, delicious, whatever it is for you, it is delicious. Bring that into every pore in your body and breathe it in. So you're going to take 3 deep breaths of this particular feeling. And into that feeling of comfort, this is going to be the condition, the soil, the fertile soil that you're going to be working with. So whatever it was that you brought in as a feeling, tangible, relaxation, luxuriating, whatever it is in your own words, allow yourself to pull that in, breathe it through the whole of your body, and then locate it as this core feeling. And as you look out of the window of the plane, you see this beautiful full moon in the night sky, this soft Cancerian, powerful feminine moon in the night sky. You smile as you look out of the window and you feel, oh, I've got this. This is amazing. And so allowing yourself to keep your eyes shut, just rubbing your hands together. generate heat, and then placing your palms over your closed eyes, breathing in and exhale. And then you can rub your hair, scalp, back of the neck, jaw, move your jaw around. Allow yourself gradually, you can rub your heart. If you wanted to rub that space which you initially felt was where you don't get what you want, just rub that space. So I'm rubbing my solar plexus now. And then allow yourself to come back into the space. And so just while you're here, Monty said he had to disappear. What was the feeling that you were feeling? So if you don't mind saying it out loud, Carrie, can we? Oh, hello. Ooh.
Yeah, sure. Hi.
Ah.
Deliciously secure.
Deliciously secure.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. So can I ask you, if you were feeling deliciously secure right now, today, what would you be doing?
I wouldn't have anxiety, stresses. I wouldn't be worrying.
So, okay. So that's a correction. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to think about
Okay.
you were delicious. No, but it's good because that's to be observed in the conditions that you're manifesting. But if you were truly deliciously secure, can't even say it, what could you imagine would be a scene for you? Like, let me make it really simple. So could it be a delicious cup of tea or something delicious, sitting on the couch, snuggling up with your dog? Would that be deliciously secure? Or what would be? Would it be walking through nature? Would it be doing yoga? What is deliciously secure for you?
Gosh, it's a good question. Without saying what I wouldn't do.
Yeah. Don't say what you wouldn't do.
I would wear the most extravagant, probably tight-fitting outfit that was bringing me loads of attention, and go somewhere fabulous and buy myself a fabulous cocktail on my own.
Great. So that is your homework. And you could even do it because I know you're going to South Africa on Sunday. So that's your job. That's your homework. Notice the things that you said: tight fitting, extravagant outfit, cocktail on your own. And those ingredients, whatever they are, that's what you want to recreate right now. We're altering the conditions, not the thing that you're going for. We're altering the conditions that we are creating our fertile soil for the manifesting.
Yeah, I mean, this is so interesting, like everything that you've said in terms of the conditioning, especially when it comes to my relationship, my romantic relationship, because I just feel like it's not simple. It's not like, I mean, obviously, as you say, like it's partly family and society and all that kind of stuff, but there is some old operating systems that I can't seem to overcome, which keeps putting me back into this place of not feeling secure.
So all the purposes of this is to shift us to what is going to be our new operating system in the simplest ways, without overthinking. So if all it is a bath, for some people. If all it is a luxury bath, then it's a luxury bath. That's it. For you, it's interesting that it comes up as getting attention, tight outfit, extravagant outfit, and cocktail. So that right now is your formula for bringing in this. It's not the thing that you want, it's the thing after you get the thing that you want that you're going to emotionally, and that is your emotional connection right now. That's your job, homework.
It's so funny because I never really wear tight dresses, and I don't know even where that came from. It just came out. Really
well, it's perfect though. It's, it doesn't matter, but get a tight dress on in South Africa and go for a cocktail and get attention and allow yourself to experience what it's like to have that attention.
Okay.
So that might be even getting used to the eye contact of receiving the attention when perhaps you might not normally allow that.
Okay.
Great. Excellent. So let's ask Alora, would you like to drop in and tell me?
Yeah. Well, it was interesting because in the meditation, one thing that you said about sort of a business, where do you want to be five years from now? And I went to, I want to be making 100,000 a year. And then I was like, why am I limiting myself to that? And then I went, oh, well, 300 to 500,000. And then I went, why am I limiting myself to that, to, 500,000 to 1 million, and just, my overall feeling is contentment. I know that when I'm not feeling anxiety and stress, especially around money and stuff, it's like, oh, I'm just content. I want to feel this. I love that word, Kerry, delicious, like deliciously. But yeah, I want to feel like delicious, deliciously content, and
now locate that now. Where is deliciously content for Alora right now in California?
Right now, I want it to be right now, and I want to feel it, in my body.
So what would be an activity, just like Kerry's come up with hers, what would be yours for delicious contentment?
Well, I love what Kerry said about, like going out and getting a cocktail. And I have one of my favorite restaurants I go to, and it's it's not outrageously expensive, but it's kind of pricey. But it's been on my mind recently, like, I love going to Bird in the Bottle and getting a cocktail, a non-alcoholic cocktail if I'm driving. And it's ended up that in the last couple of weeks, I picked up 2 friends from the local airport, and as a thank you, it was unexpected, they took me there. So yeah, it would be like, I'm going to go to Bird in the Bottle, even if it's on my own, and sit at the bar and get dressed up.
Especially if it's on your own.
Yeah, so I think, Kerry, you've inspired me. I think I'm going to get dressed up. Maybe I'll do it today because I'm teaching this morning. I've got to jump off, and I've got to get a mani-pedi because all my nails are falling apart. Go and do that, and then go and sit at that nice restaurant, and be in that contentment that, yeah, this can be my life,
This is your homework. We're altering the conditions, and Jacqueline just shot off. Just what I was going to call on her to, but maybe she'll see the replay and know that we said goodbye. But where would you go if you were having delicious contentment?
Bye, ladies. I got to go and work.
See you later.
All right, much love. Carrie, have a
Much
wonderful
love.
time in South Africa. Amazing. I've always wanted to go. Brilliant. All
Bye.
right.
Bye,
See you
Laura.
later.
Bye. Happy New Year. Bye.
So really what you want to feel right now is, where can you locate that very thing, that very feeling that you're going towards after the thing is that you say you want now? And it may be a very simple version of that. It may not be anything extravagant in the same way. It could literally be a hot bath with some wonderful potions and salts and whatever. If that is the case, then the job that we have, or to alter the conditions that we have, we want to do a lot of that. So, you know, with the example of the hot baths, you want to start doing it 3 or 4 times a week, even more if you are going for it. It's about now creating the conditions of locating what is the feeling that I want. And then the third part of this masterclass experience will be taking it to where we use these conditions and we start planting intentions into them. So this is the mid-level of what we want to start doing. And whatever that piece is, you want to start going there. In the work that I do with the 11 Kings and Queens, which I've spoken to, some of you know about it, some of you have been in that world, some of you I coach independently, but it's about living that experience. What is it like to be that queen or that king at the level of doing where I get what I want, and starting to alter the emotional landscape that we live in, much of which is we don't get what we want, to this is the feeling that I want to reside in as a king or a queen, and I get what I want. People who are at the level of king or queen archetype operating in the world, there is no question that they get what they want. There is no, they don't even have a question around that. They get what they want. And there's a way that even their posture, even their tilt of their head, even their expressions will be infused with, I get what I want. And that's where we're going. These are the conditions that we're altering so that we can start to bring in the manifestation of the thing that you want. And some of them won't be things. They won't be halves. They'll be beingness. Who do you have to be to get what you want? Well, in the example that I gave right at the very beginning, you can see I'm not somebody who has been always given what I want in my family. And I'm not saying that with it's not a moan, it's not a complaint. It's an observation. I wasn't mollycoddled as a child and, hey, you know, darling, you get everything you want. That was not my life. So the reaction that I've had to some of that, to building the life that I want, has been also the same old operating system, which is going, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to go get what I want. That's also old operating system. I'm still not in the receiving mode when I'm going into that hypermasculine, oh, I'll get what I want my way because you didn't give it to me, so I'm going to go do this thing. All of that is still the same package of reaction to something. It's another reaction, and there's just a kickoff of all these different reactions. But the experience that I'm aiming for through manifesting is, I get what I want. That's a very different feel to me than the battle structure that I have set up in my life. And you can certainly imagine the various ways that you operate. So some of it is cultural, you know, old family stories, old ancestral stuff, experiences in school, experiences in life, gender, race, brackets of money, what your family focus on, blah, blah, blah. It's endless. Those are all the conditions. And for us to create, I did once a course called Causing the Miraculous. And the very first session in that was a landmark session. The very first session was the leader was talking about, well, how do you create a miracle? And you don't create a miracle, you create the conditions in which a miracle can occur. Very, very different, very, very different energetics. And by the end of that course, I had caused a miracle in my life. So we're approaching it in a very, very different than landmark, but very emotionally tapped in spiritual way. You want to connect in on all the emotional levels now. And that's kind of the homework. What I want to do is just pull my diary out, which is across the room, 1 minute, to tell you when the next one is that we're doing of the 3. And where it's leading to is it's leading to working in a private group, which is a course I'm leading in the spring, which starts in 23rd of February, called Manifesting as If by Magic. So the third masterclass of this 3 parts is on Thursday, the 19th of January. So you can put it in your diary. Thursday the 19th, it'll be 4 o'clock again, GMT. It'll be free to attend. You can bring friends, you can do whatever. And I will post this one. There's already a predecessor to this, and I've got that up on YouTube. You can go there. I can send it to you. So if you've asked me to send it to you, I will. And also it goes out on my newsletter. So if any of you are interested in signing up to my newsletter, I can drop the link in. I don't know if you're part of my newsletter. Are you, Carrie? You are. Okay. So for anybody else who is wondering how to do that, if you go on to my Instagram, which is my name, Inarra Ariane Griffin, in the bio, in the link tree, there is a sign up to my newsletter, because I send out these kind of things. This is the free work that I do to introduce you to other ways that we can work together. And ultimately, where most of this work is going to go, either goes with my private clients, or it goes into the 11 Kings and Queens. And that will be in February, a 3-month program over the planting season, because what we're doing right now is creating the conditions. And then by the time we get to that, we're going to be planting some major shifts, transformation levels in business, products. And interesting, just to give you an example, I was working with somebody for the last 3 weeks. It's a very recent relationship, somebody taking me on privately to work with them. But I want to give you an example of how this can work. So I asked this woman, who is lovely, lovely woman, works in interior design, what would be your fantasy for 2023 to create? And she said, I want to do 2 hotels. Never done hotels before, like deck out the whole of the hotel in her interior design world. And the one that she talked about one in a different country, but she talked about one here being either the north of England or Scotland. So it's quite specific in terms of where she was talking about. And we did some of this work, and then we ended working before Christmas, because I didn't work over Christmas. And when I spoke to her just this week, catching up, she said over Christmas, in the space after we'd done all of this work, through Instagram, a billionaire couple had contacted her who, guess what, have bought a hotel in Scotland and are asking her through her Instagram to pitch to be the interior designer for that. Now that's 3 weeks of this, and you know, it's like pretty, in my world, that's pretty miraculous. It's very specific what she was saying to me that she wanted to create. And right at the beginning of that, she hasn't got the job yet, but she is going up to Scotland to communicate about that. That's what we're talking about, manifesting as if by magic. So I will leave you on that thought and consider you might want to join the small group that I'm taking through the spring. We'll be doing all of this kind of work. And for those of you I already work with, Kerry, lovely to see you. Hope it'll add a dimension to the work that you're doing. And right now, it's just you getting to the emotional state of when I get what I want. When I get what I want. So that's what you want to really consider. And sending you loads of love, and have a blast in South Africa, Kerry, and wear that outfit. Yeah. And see you all for the next one.
Thank you.
Pleasure.